Hey guys, it's Ansu. Welcome back. I wanted to do an April wrap up. We're doing this earlier, kind of, because this is the 29th of April, and I don't know if I can actually finish an entire book by tomorrow, but I was being very positive, and I just wanted to talk about the books before, it passes a whole ass month before I start talking about it. I've already read 6 books, which is pretty good. I'm in the middle of the 7th one, but I haven't gotten that far into it, but I'll also talk about that in the end. The first book I finished in the month of April was Wild Side by Elsie Silver. This is the 3rd book of the Rose Hill series. This one follows around Tabitha and Reese. Tabitha owns a restaurant in this small town. She gets contested against her nephew's guardianship by this dude, Reese. She doesn't know much else about Reese other than that Reese was her sister's landlord, and they end up deciding to actually marry each other so that the nephew can actually have a decent life. It is honestly an interesting premise, and I personally really like this. I think out of the 3 books that I read in the series, this one was my favorite. If you're into like wrestling and stuff, you would really enjoy this as well. Personally, I've watched a ton of wrestling growing up because I have a brother, so I was forced to. I personally really like this. Reese is a very broody, quiet character. Tabitha is full of life, but she also has this hatred towards Reese because he's trying to take her nephew away from her. So that's there. There's marriage of convenience, all of that kind of tropes. If you're into that, I think you would really enjoy this. I gave this, I think, 4 or 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed it, and it is quite spicy as well, so just fair warning. Then I read The Bright Years by Sarah Damoff. A lot of people were saying such great things about the story, but then I didn't really know what to expect for it. This revolves around one family across 4 different generations. They also have a secret son. It has issues with addiction, a ton of losses. It's just a very heartfelt story. It starts off where Ryan and Lillian are absolutely in love. They get married and they're expecting a baby girl, but Lillian has a son that she never told Ryan about, and that unfortunately starts an addiction in Ryan, and their daughter Georgette has seen the rise and fall of their parents' marriage. There is so much more to the story than just that addiction piece, but it also has that way of getting to that point of being that bad. There was something about the way that this book was written that really hit me, and I give this 5 stars. I don't know what it was. I honestly cannot explain what led me to really love this, but it just really hit for me. I can't really pinpoint why. It really shows how incredibly short life is and how one small thing that you do in your life could potentially derail your entire life. And it's not just your life, it could affect other people as well. And it really shows that in this book. And we just have to keep moving forward, and hopefully that is into a brighter place. And I think it's such a great book. I absolutely adore this. I had such a grand time reading this, and I don't know, it affected me so much. I really enjoyed it. I would highly recommend this. Then I read How to Write a Love Story by Catherine Walsh. I think the beginning of the story was a little bit of a drag because we're trying to figure out what's happening, and then it slowly started to pick up. This falls around Kiara Sheridan, whose dad has recently passed away, and the 3 things that he's left her is this estate, which is completely falling into shambles. There are some notes that he has written to finish off a novel series that he's been writing. It's like a fantasy series, and finally she has a writer's block. On the flip side, we have Sam Avery, who is from the US, and he is this really hotshot editor who's also absolutely obsessed with the series that her dad was writing, and his job essentially drops him off at the doorstep of Kiara, and they end up actually having to work together to ensure that Kiara finally gets to finish writing her dad's book. Obviously romance ensues. They're completely from across the world, and I just thought this was a really fun story. I had a good time reading it. This is a very summer central book, so if you're looking for something to make you feel like you're getting into summer, this is something that I would highly recommend for you to pick up. This was super duper fun. Personally, I did prefer her Christmas books, but this is really good too. Then I read My Husband's Wife by Alice Feeney. I gave this 4 stars. Honestly, my brain was so jumbled after this book because I didn't know what the heck was happening half the time. Eden Fox is this artist who has just gotten like her big break, and she's on a run, and once she gets home, the key is not working in her lock, so she can't get into her own house she and her husband had just moved into. She's no clue what's going on, and she's like freaking out, and finally someone opens the door, and there's this other woman who's like, "Who the heck are you?" And Eden is like, "Who are you? This is my house." And the other lady is like, "I'm Eden." And the running lady was like, "I'm Eden, what do you mean?" This was so confusing. Honestly, so much of it was just like, what the heck? You cannot believe a single thing you're reading in this book. And I was just like, whoa. And it's just twist after twist after twist. And I was so confused for a lot of it. But I had a grand time. It was really fun. Also, if you're not into like people cheating, ooh, just saying, there's a bitch in here. We're just gonna leave it at that, okay? But It was a fun book. It was interesting, to say the least, and I had a good time reading it, so 4 stars. I don't know what the heck I read. Then I read Quicksilver by Callie Hart. This took like a whole week and a half, I think. This is a chunker, but I did finish it, so kudos to me. This is one of the first Romantasies I've read in a very long time. This one follows around Sarah Spain, who is 24 years old, and she's absolutely a human. But she does have a secret ability that no one really knows about. She can manipulate Quicksilver, or it's something like a metal, but no one really knows about it. She's from this place where, so that all these people living in this place are like shit under your boots, I guess. Nobody really cares about the people in the place that she's living in, and so she's obviously having a tough time with it. She steals a lot. One day Sirius comes face to face with Death himself, and she gets whisked off into the Fey world. In the Fey world, they are at war, and they think that Sarah's being able to manipulate Quicksilver because she's an alchemist could potentially help them stop the war. So it's them like working together. This is something that I'm saying like all the time. Humans going into a Fey world and acting like they can do everything and they're strong. Like, bitch, come on. These people are immortal, or like practically immortal, and then there's you. You live for like 50 years at best, and you think you can survive in an immortal world's war? Are you joking me? That's something that I will never understand about Romantasies, but I ate it up. I still ate it up. The ending of this book was really cool. I had such a fun time finishing this book, honestly. I can't wait to read the next one, but this one, like, seriously, man, she's a human. What is wrong with you? But also 4 stars. The last book I read was The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. This one is a romance magical realism story, so it's kind of confusing. I can't really tell you that I actually understood this book 100% because that would be lying, because I don't know what happened half the time. So Clementine, our main character, is working in like book publishing, and her aunt recently passed away, but she gave her an apartment that she was living in, and this apartment has some magical abilities. What? This apartment has some magical abilities where sometimes when you step into it, you can get whisked off 7 years into the future or 7 years into the past. So she gets into this apartment after, you know, she's actually moved in and everything, and she's like really tired, upset and everything because her aunt has passed away and she's very close to her. She steps into the apartment one day and then she gets whisked off 7 years into the past. Her aunt had this rule that she should never fall in love in the apartment because it is only going to lead to a lot of heartbreak, and she obviously does not listen to her aunt. I didn't really understand the logic of how this conflict worked, because the guy that she meets in the apartment lives 7 years in the past, and Clementine lives 7 years into his future, so in like present day. So exactly understand how it worked. It made it a little bit of sense in the way that you meet a ton of people in life and you have no idea if they're actually supposed to be, you know, your soulmate, because you might have met your soulmate in passing, but you had no clue that they were going to make such an impact in your life until you meet them again in the future, and like somehow you figure it out, or maybe you don't even figure it out, but you had some kind of interactions with these people and you've no clue about it. That really was a cool concept. Honestly, I had such a good time reading it. I give it 4 stars. That feeling was just really great. I think the fact that the magical realism thing was happening, it really confused me, like how it truly worked. Other than that, I thought it was a really fun story. Just the way that it was written and everything, I had such a good time reading it. So highly recommend this one too. The last book I want to talk about is One Dark Window by Rachel Gillick. I read like 100 pages of this book, so I am very optimistic that I can finish this. Question mark? Maybe. So I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to be reading a little bit more later tonight and tomorrow as well. So hopefully I can actually finish this book as well. This is in a world where there are these cards that have magical powers, and there's also this mist that is giving some people this rare disease that is like a fever, I guess. It's giving some people a sickness that gives them some kind of weird abilities, and those people are getting killed by the king. Elspeth is one of those people who got the sickness, but she got saved by her family, and you know, she's isolated for a little bit. Nobody really knew about the sickness that she had because she doesn't show any magical abilities later on in life. But Elspeth has a secret. There's a nightmare card that she had touched, that she absorbed the powers into herself, so there's a nightmare monster is actually living in her head. And she can also see Providence cards. Providence cards are really important in this world, where they're like, I think 12 Providence cards. If you bring them all together and like do some kind of blood ritual or something, the mist will go away, the people with the diseases will be cured. So that's a huge thing. But the Force itself played a trick where one of the cards is now nowhere to be found. Obviously, the only person that can find it is Elspeth, because she can actually see these cards. They show off like a color, and if it's in someone's pocket, she can actually see it, which is pretty cool. She ends up meeting this highwayman, and this interaction leads her life to completely change. And it's about her trying to navigate this life where, you know, she is likely going to die if anyone ever finds out about her disease, and it's a really cool concept. Again, like I was a little lost, I'm not gonna lie, but then I got into it a little bit further and I've been really enjoying it so far. So I'm really optimistic that I can finish it by tomorrow, hopefully. But those are all the books that I read in the month of April. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you all next time with another one. Until then, I'll talk to you all in the comments. Goodbye.